Welcome everyone, this is Mundan Raghavan. In previous videos, we have seen inheritance here and there a little bit. In this video, we are going to say in detail what about inheritance and why do we need the inheritance and what are the different types of inheritance that are allowed inside Java. So starting with inheritance, the first point is why do we need the inheritance? Let's say you have some functionalities already available in some existing class. You want the same functionalities in your class. Very normal or very basic way will be like copy paste. But however, that will not confirm your code reusability. That means that you are just repeating the code here and there whenever you require the same functionality. To avoid the duplication and to make it code reusability, we will be using the inheritance. So that means that just providing the keyword called extends followed by the class which you want to inherit, which will make sure that we are reusing the code from the existing class that we have extended. For instance, you can see here we have the class A and class B. Let's say in class B, you want to inherit some properties from the class A, then you will be just mentioning the keyword called class B extends class A, which means that you are extending the class A in your class B. It will be the easier relationship. That means that whenever you create the instance for the class B, it will be having all the properties and methods from the parent class as well as from the child class. Then we have instance of operator in Java, whether to confirm for the given instance, whether it is the instance of a specific class or not. So it can be a direct class or it can be the indirect class. So what do you mean by direct and indirect? Let's say you have the class A and class B and class C. The class B inherits from the class A and class C inherits from the class B. So here you are seeing the multi-level inheritance. So that means that we have 3 layers of inheritance. So let's say if you create the instance for the very bottom layer, that will be considered still the instance of all the 3 levels. So that we will be seeing the demonstration in detail further. Then the next point is object class is the topmost parent class of all the classes. Whether you mention this explicitly or not, whenever you create the class, indirectly you are telling extends object class. Let's say in some scenario, you are extending some other existing class. Let's say the class B extends the class A. So in that scenario, obviously the class A obviously will be having the object as the parent class. So that means that at any point of time, you will be having the object class at the topmost parent class. Then super keyword. Let's say you are in the child class and you have some points or some properties or some methods to be accessed from the parent class. Let's say you have the same member or it's the same method name in your child class as well. For example, overriding that we have seen in the previous video. But still you want to use both the methods from the parent class as well as from the child class. So that scenario, you will be using the super keyword. In simple, you want to use the immediate parent class references. That time you will be using the super keyword. Even super keyword can be considered for calling the child class constructor. Sorry, the parent class constructor to be called in child class constructor. So which means that you are calling the parent class constructor in your child class. It can be even in constructor or it can be anywhere else. But in simple, if you call super open and close parenthesis, considering you have only the no argument constructor, then you will be calling the super class constructor. And if you don't mention, it will be called implicitly from the Java. Otherwise, it should be the first statement. And the next one. So far, we have seen single inheritance and multi-level inheritance. However, the diagram shows only for the single inheritance. If you consider one more class below the class B, so that will be considered as the multi-level inheritance. However, multiple inheritance is not allowed in Java because if you have multiple classes in simple, you cannot extend more than one class at a time. So that will create the diamond problem. So however, we will be seeing the diamond problem if required in the coming sessions. But in simple, in Java, we have single and multi-level inheritance. So coming back to our, let's say the coding section, we will be going one by one. The code reusability from existing class using extends keyword. First point, we will go to the inheritance class here. Here you can see for simplicity, I don't have any implementation for the class. It has only the class, let's say class high level design. Class low level design extends the high level design. So which means that, let's say if you have some properties or methods available in high level design, all the methods and properties will be available for the low level design. So in simple, the low level design will be the having the easier relationship with the high level design. And let's say one more layer, the micro level design extends the low level design. So which means that here, whatever the functionalities or let's say methods or properties available in the low level design, that also will be available for the micro level design class, because we are extending the low level design. So in simple, here we have 3 layers: high level, low level, micro level. So the micro level, if you create the instance for the micro level, so that will be having all the properties and method available in all 3 classes. Let's say high level design, low level design, and micro level design. First, let's say here we are creating the instance for the micro level design. And we have seen we can use the instance of operator, whether you can consider that given instance is the instance of a given class. Since we have the inheritance between all the 3 levels, which means that indirectly or directly we are creating the instance for the low level as well as the high level design. So that's the reason the reference for the micro level design will be the instance of micro level as well, low level as well, and high level as well. And we have discussed directly or indirectly, we will be the our object will be the high level class for all the classes. So that's the reason even the MLD will be the instance of object class, but however, it will not be the direct or immediate instance. It can be the multi-level. For example, here you don't mention high level design extends object, but implicitly it will be considered as the high level design extends object, whether you mention it or not. So in this class, we have seen, so what is instance of operator, how it works, and we have seen multi-level inheritance by 3 levels. For example, high level, low level, and micro level. So coming to the next one, super demo. So in this class, just consider these 2 classes, class level 1, level 2, extends level 1. So which means that here we have single inheritance. And let's consider in level 1, we have the integer a is equal to 100 and show method, which will be showing show method in level 1. Let's consider in your child class also you have the integer a and void show the same method. But in void show method, you want to use your current class a reference or a variable, and you want to use the parent class a variable as well. So whenever you use the a variable here, it will refer to the current class instance variable. So you will be seeing a is equal to 300. But let's say at the same time, you want to use the a variable from the parent class also. So to refer the parent class or immediate parent class, you will be using the super dot a, which will be referring to the super class. In our case, it will be the level 1. So level 1 in that class a variable, it will be giving us 100. And in show method of, let's say, the child class, you want to call the parent class show method. So if you call the simple show method, so it will be just like a circular reference, the method itself calling the same method, but you are actually referring to the parent class show method. To represent the parent class, we have discussed a super keyword will be used. For instance, here you can see super.show, which means that the immediate parent class method show method. The immediate parent class is level 1. So in that level 1, you will be having a show method. So that will be called. Then after you will be having the display command or there is a display content will be show method in level 2. So in simple, whenever you call the show method from the child class, you will be having the a from the current class, which is 300 followed by the 100 from the parent class. And you will be having the show method in level 1 from the parent class and the show method from the level 2. So that's what we are doing here. We are creating the instance for the level 2 and we are calling the child class show method. Here you can see 300, which will be the local, and super.a will be referring to the parent class, which will be the 100. And here we are calling the super.show, which will be the show method in level 1. And after that, we are printing the show method in level 2. So in simple, in this class, we have understood the super keyword can be used to refer the immediate parent class variables, immediate parent class, let's say the methods as well. So now we will consider the super keyword for the super class constructor also. So let's consider here the class parent and the child. Child extends parent, so it will be the single level of inheritance. And here in the parent class, we have 2 constructors. Even constructor can be overloaded by changing the number of arguments, or let's say by changing the type of argument. Here we have 2 type of constructors, a constructor overloading because it happened in the same class, and we have changed the type of argument here. One has no argument constructor, another one has the parent class, the parent class constructor with the argument of string name. If you call no class constructor, no argument constructor, you will be having the parent class constructor as a display statement. Whereas if you call the parent class constructor with the name, with the type of string, you will be getting the parent class constructor for name with some name. Let's find. So now we are calling the child class. So child class also having the constructor. It will be having the statement called child class constructor. So here we never used anything called super keyword or super class constructor, right? Super class, super followed by the open and close parenthesis in case of child class. So let's execute this thing. Here you can see, even though we did not call the parent class constructor explicitly, the parent class constructor, which will be the no argument constructor, will be called automatically, which means that here, whether you mention it or not, so it will be something called super open and close parenthesis. So in previous scenario, we have not mentioned explicitly, but it will be called implicitly from the Java side. So that's the reason we have seen the output as parent class constructor, then child class constructor. But let's say in some scenarios, you want to call a specific parent class constructor. For example, even though you call the child class no argument constructor, inside the child class no argument constructor, you want to call the parent class argument constructor. So for example, here, let's say I'm sending some text value. So which means that whenever you use a super and followed by the open parenthesis, which means that immediate parent class constructor. And since you are sending as a string value, it will be looking at the parent class with the constructor having the string type of argument. So we have that argument and we will be calling that method or that constructor. Here you can see parent class constructor for name mark. So this way, anytime if you want to call the parent class constructor or if you make any constructor chaining, you can call the parent class constructor by using the super keyword. Even if you don't call it, the Java will be calling the parent class constructor. And the final note will be like, whenever you create the object for the child class reference, it can be the single inheritance or multiple inheritance. You are not creating, let's say in the multi-level, let's say you have 3 levels. Let's say if you are creating for the very bottommost the classes. So if you create the object for the very low level or let's say very bottommost, you will not be creating 3 or different objects. You will be creating only one object, but whatever the properties or methods are required for all the 3 classes will be available to you. So which means that actually you are creating only one object, but it will be having all the properties and methods as a copy for you so that you can use all the things without copy pasting into your current class. So this way we have again understood. So the different things, code reusability can be done by using the keyword called extends so that we can extend the other classes. And at a time you can extend only one class. So that's why multiple inheritance will not be allowed in Java, which will create the diamond problem. And another point, you can use the instance of operator whether to find the given instance is the instance of the any pre-existing classes. So all the classes will be having object class as the topmost parent, whether it can be directly or indirectly, but still you will be having at topmost will be the object class. And super keyword will be used to the refer immediate parent class variables methods. Even you can refer the immediate parent class constructor as well. By default, super class constructor will be called in the first statement of the child class, whether you mention it or not. Last but not least, we will be having single level and multi-level in Java. We will not be having the multiple inheritance inside Java. So this is all about the inheritance. So thanks for watching and have a great day.